Welcome to Stotty Studios, 3D assets at an affordable price. Here at Stotty Studios we create affordable 3D assets without the drop in quality. We focus on helping smaller creators buy 3D assets without breaking their budget and allows them to focus more on their product and less on the assets. Most companies that sell 3D assets can range from £200 to £1,000, which can be way too much for the average small creator. Stotty Studios aims to price our 3D assets below £200 so smaller creators can afford these assets. To get an idea of what we do here at Stotty Studios, here is a small step-by-step process on a 3D asset that was created for a past project. This specific 3D asset is a model of some Victorian scales that were used for a Victorian lab scene. The first part in creating these scales was to create the wooden base which the scales would sit on top of. I grabbed a cube preset and scaled it to the correct size. I extruded the top and bottom parts of the box outwards to create a small lip and then beveled the top lip to create a rounded edge. To create the handle that you see on the front of the box, I grabbed a cylinder and made some cuts in the centre and scaled it inwards to create a separation from the front and back of the handle. I then created a small lip on the front of the handle like how I did with the box and proceeded to bevel the handle and place it in the front of the box. Next I created the pole that held the main part of the scales. I grabbed a small cube and flattened it and placed it on top of the box that I had just created. I then grabbed a cylinder and made some cuts in it and extruded them outwards to create some small lips in the design of the pole. Once I had made all the extrusions, I placed the pole on top of the small cube. Once the pole was finished, I worked on creating the part of the scales that were rocked side to side. This required a lot of different shapes and a lot of extrusions on those shapes. With all the different shapes, I made sure that they all had nice rounded edges by using the bevel tool and they were placed in the correct places. Next to model was the hook that the scales would link up to. First I created the hook holder that would be connected to the rocking part of the scales. I grabbed a cylinder and rotated it 90 degrees and flattened it. I made a cut in the centre of the cylinder and extruded and beveled it. I then worked on the hook itself, which just required a simple torus shape. Once I had made one hook, I duplicated it for the other side. Finally, it was time to work on the main part of the scales themselves. First I created the chains by grabbing a torus and proceeded to duplicate it and rotate it 90 degrees. I repeated this process until I got the length of the chain I wanted. Once I had one chain done, I duplicated it 5 times so that there were 3 chains on each side of the scales. Then I made the balls by grabbing a cylinder and resizing it so the chains could fit nicely on it. I then made a cut on top of the cylinder and extruded them upwards to create a small lip for the ball. With the rest of the faces on top, I pushed those faces inwards to create the depth of the ball. Once I finished creating one ball, I duplicated for the other side. Once I had finished creating the model, I transferred it into Substance Painter, which allowed me to apply the requested textures to the model. I made sure that all the textures I used were of high quality. After all the textures were applied, I transferred it back into Maya and created this render that you see now. To make a request with us, contact us with one of our various social medias and we will begin to discuss your idea with you. Once we have your asset idea, we will ask for half of the price as a deposit and then we will begin getting similar images of your asset idea and placing them into a mood board. Once we have a mood board of your idea, we begin to create a rough sketch of your idea and send it to you and ask you for any tweaks you would like to the design. We then start to work on creating the model in Maya and adding the requested textures to it in Substance Painter. We will then send an image of the model with the Stotty Studios watermark on top. Once you are happy with the model, we will ask for the remaining cost and once we have received payment, we will send the 3D asset file to you for your project. Interested in having your own 3D asset from us? Contact Nicole Stott and request your 3D asset today.